All right, there's a video I want to react to, guys. Whatever happened to booster boards? Booster boards were like the original electric longboard, and their company became like $1 billion business, or like it became really poppin', really successful, and it was like super overinflated, and then the company basically crashed into nothing. So I'm interested to hear what happened.
Remember boosted boards? They were a premium electric skateboard company that was quite popular back in the early 2010s, largely thanks
They
to
wasted
one
all their money on
influencer,
Casey Neistat.
Casey was an avid user of boosted boards and used them to get all around New York City, and given that he was vlogging on a daily basis during his time period and getting millions of views on each and every video, the amount of brand exposure he got for boosted
Yeah,
was...
the very good point, chat. It says avid user. That's how you know we're not talking about skateboarding, because you don't refer to a skater as an avid user. But I don't know, like he genuinely liked the product, so like I think the promotion was good. You know, he always backed him. I don't think they were probably paying him that much. It seemed like he genuinely just wanted to use it, and he promoted it without them paying him often.
insane. All of a sudden, Boosted was the go-to electric skateboard manufacturer for millennials, despite often costing over $1,000 per board. Pretty soon, Boosted started receiving even more coverage from Marcus Brownlee, a few viral videos, and even traditional news outlets. For the longest time, it seemed that Boosted was truly a humble grassroots success story that fulfilled a specific niche, but things didn't stay that way forever. Moving into the late
1K a board is absurd. I mean, honestly, Boosted was early in the e-board, e-scooter, e-space, and like that's how much it cost back then. Like now, e-stuff you can buy it really cheap, you know? But like back then, it was kind of new technology, and that was pretty like standard. Now feel like you could get the shittiest Chinese electric longboard for probably like $100 maybe, but still the probably typical good quality one is still probably like at least $500. I feel like.
2010s, we started seeing viral stories pop up that boosted boards were overheating and catching on fire. Boosted didn't just try to sweep this under the rug either. They publicly admitted the issue and announced a recall of second-generation boards during the holiday season of 2016, making it clear that they prioritized consumer safety over maximizing profits. But despite their goodwill, they slowly faded into the background as they resolved their issues and came out with a new generation of boards. Just like before, these boards were also covered by
so
Casey
funny
and a
to
slew of
wearing
other
a
popular
suit.
creators. But despite the social media coverage, sales didn't get all that much better for Boosted. They even tried to diversify their business, but all of their efforts to expand outside of just skateboards also fell flat. And as a money-burning
I
VC-backed
mean,
startup,
I guess in the hindsight is like they should have made scooters, because scooters really kind of took off. Like if you make the brand of Lime scooters that Lime buys or whatever, I don't know exactly how it works. But if you made the scooter that partner with Lime, like surely you're absolutely crushing it, you know?
the only way that Boosted was gonna survive was by showing growth. And given that they didn't have much growth to show, investors would eventually pull the plug on Boosted, and Boosted would file for bankruptcy in mid-2020. Looking back, it seems that just one
Bankruptcy.
public misstep destroyed the entire company. But really, the boards catching on fire was just the tip of the iceberg. So here's what really happened to Boosted.
Yeah.
Taking a look back, the story of Boosted dates back to 2011.
Like that's the worst looking skateboard I've ever seen. It looks this extremely low quality. But is this like a thing where you can add on the motor or what? Or is this just really a normal board?
To a couple of Stanford students named Sanjay
Oh, what? There's a TED Talk? I gotta watch that.
Dustor, John Ullman, and Matthew Tran. Like most college students and urban dwellers in general, a daily pain point for these guys was walking around campus and nearby areas. Technically, everything was super close within just a few mile radius. But when you're constantly walking back and forth between your apartment, classes, grocery stores, and libraries, commuting time starts to add up pretty quickly. The go-to solution for most people is to simply ride a bike, but our trio wanted a
Bruce's problem is that skating is hard. You can't sell something that is hard to write to the masses. Yeah, I remember that one of my friends from high school, I feel like the time period was around then. I graduated high school 2009. So probably maybe this happened around 2010. I remember that one of my friends, this girl, her boyfriend bought an electric longboard, and then he would ride it really fast, and I would be like, yo, this guy is about to smoke himself insanely bad, because like in skating you can't really ride fast out of your skill set. It's like not that hard. Like it's not really possible. You have to practice pushing and going faster and faster and faster, and then you get comfortable riding fast, knowing how to jump off, knowing how to bail. But you just stand on electric longboard, press go, and go super fast. You fall off, like you have a crash. You are getting smoked because like you don't know what to do, you know. So I remember thinking that, and that like that's what they're saying is like they tried to sell skating to non-skaters, and people just smoked themselves, you know.
A
That's why
smarter,
the scooters were
simpler
more popular. I
solution
agree.
that could be easily carried around without compromising on speed. Thus, the idea for an electric skateboard was born, and our trio was by no means interested in slapping a label
Oh,
onto a
not those
skateboard
ones.
and calling it a day.
Nope,
They wanted
nope.
to create an extremely refined and reliable experience. So
That was
they
like a
started
snowboarding
designing a
one.
motorized skateboard from scratch, constantly tweaking and improving each aspect, whether that be acceleration, braking, handling, or durability. Fortunately, they had plenty of time and resources to do this, as they had secured backing from Stanford's own startup accelerator, StartX. Eventually, they would come up with an extremely premium board that people would call the Apple of e-boards. And to gauge just how interested people would be about a boosted board, the trio would launch a Kickstarter campaign with a goal of raising $100,000.
Why is One
To
Wheel
de-
doing so well? Because the people that get into One Wheels is not the same people that say, I need to get to class faster. Maybe I'll try an electric longboard. The people that get into One Wheel say like, oh yeah, I kind of want to like ride around town and like have fun and like cruise around. I feel like they're extremely different markets. I don't think anyone buys a One Wheel to say, I want to get around the college campus faster. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like for the most part is like the people buying One Wheels like actually want to get into like the culture of one wheeling around.
Their surprise, they would hit their goal in just one day, and they would end up raising nearly $500,000. By all accounts, this was a great success, but reading between the lines, you could already see a few red flags, primarily the number of backers. Despite raising $467,000, Boosted only had a total of 1,100 backers. The average backer was putting up $420.
You don't like this
meaning
guy's
that
video?
to reach their $100,000 goal, they only had to get 200 to 250 backers. Not a bad goal by any means, but
Sydney.
really brings into question just how big the target market really was.
Oh my god, that scared me.
Nonetheless, Boosted would continue with their
Thank you.
marketing and go-to-market effort. These were young guys who understood the power of social media, and as such, much of their efforts went into growing their Reddit and Facebook pages. Sanjay even hosted a TED Talk that would go viral, pulling in nearly 2 million views. All of this traction helped Boosted raise another $10 million in funding, but what happened next was something that none of them could have ever anticipated. Boosted had caught the attention of up-and-coming YouTube star Casey Neistat, who would single-handedly boost interest in Boosted by a whopping 300%.
It's crazy how powerful
This
like
trend would
one
simply
person
go in-
can be. Like Homie's on the strong trajectory, and then like what he said, it wasn't a paid integration. It's just he was genuinely interested in it, and then one person can change it so much. When I was recently at the airport, when I was at the train station in London, Janice and I was saying how funny it is that we went. There's like a Harry Potter store, then there's like a Harry Potter 9 3/4 thing where you like pose for the photo. And when we were there, there was popping. There was so many people in the line. You probably have to wait like 2 hours to take a photo of the thing. And then we were saying like, isn't it funny that just one person can write a story and make a movie, make a book, and then it can completely change like the environment. Like now, that's not a train station. That's the Harry Potter place where the Harry Potter thing happened. Like I think it's really interesting. And same what I was saying with Casey Neistat. The marketing was so effective because it really hit the right person in the right place in the right time in the right way, and like it's crazy how it can have such a strong effect.
To overdrive when a creator named Jesse posted a viral video of him riding a boosted board around New York City that was made to look like the magic carpet from Aladdin. This video would go on to reach 35 million views. And
One
Jesse
Wheels are
would
better
go on
at
to
this
make
now,
a follow-up to this video in San
'cause it looks
Francisco
higher off
that
the
went
ground.
on to get 13 million views. And all of that was just on Jesse's channel itself. And it's very likely that with all of the reposts and media coverage, this little stunt drew the attention of over 100 million people. Boosted could not have even dreamed of a more successful brand awareness campaign, but
Mm-hmm.
Boosted would soon learn that brand awareness and sales were two completely different things.
Mm.
None of
Hurdle
this is to say
after
that Boosted
hurdle.
didn't have a roaring start. Just due to the raw magnitude of exposure that they enjoyed, they obviously sold a bunch of boards, though we don't know the exact number. But once all of the hype settled down, Boosted was left with a much trickier situation. The reality was that the original problem that they were trying to solve did not even benefit from their invention. Here's the thing, commuting on college campus.
They also have the problem that one person will buy a booster board, they'll never buy another one ever again. Because it's gonna last their like lifetime, you know? I don't see them buying one and buying another one 2 years later. So if they sell the booster boards to every single person that could ever possibly want to buy one, then what do they do?
This is surely a hurdle for college students, but you know what's an even bigger hurdle? Spending $400 to $500 or even over $1,000 on a skateboard. So, aside from a few rich kids, Boosted had largely boxed themselves out of the college market simply due to price. And this is really quite a shame given that most college students probably did know about Boosted and many of them probably even wanted one, but the price was simply too big to swallow. Fortunately, Boosted also appealed to urban dwellers as well, but the same issue largely applied here. Those who walked everywhere usually could not afford a premium electric skateboard, especially with the rents and general cost of living in these cities. And those who could afford it weren't exactly the kind to be riding around the city. I mean, could you imagine an investment banker or corporate lawyer riding one of these to work on a regular basis? So really, boosted boards only appeal to exception cases like Casey, high-income earners who regularly traverse the city. This isn't to say that YouTubers like Casey and Marcus were capping and that boosted boards weren't great products. They were phenomenal products, but just because you have a phenomenal product doesn't mean that it'll sell. It's the same issue that Lucid is facing
Capping.
right now. By all accounts, they've made a car that tops not just Tesla, but the EV industry in general in virtually every category. A lot of people would love to have a Lucid, but with that being said, there's just not all that many people who can buy a $100,000 luxury electric sedan. It was the same thing with Boosted, and things only got worse as competitors started catching wind of this trend, particularly Lime. If you're not familiar with Lime Scooter, they're the guys who started the whole electric scooter trend. Basically, they were looking to do the exact same thing as Boosted, but with two key differences. Instead of skateboards, it was scooters, which is a lot easier to ride for most people. And two, instead of having consumers buy their scooters, they had people rent their scooters. Generally, a Lime scooter costs $1 to $1.50 to start riding, and then 15 to 39 cents per minute of ride.
Limes these days are so expensive. I don't know if you ever use them, but they're like literally like it's almost the same price as just getting an Uber. If you say, "Oh, I need to get a lime from here to here," it's like almost the same price. I also read that lime scooters got banned, or I think all electric scooters got banned in my hometown of Melbourne, Australia, which is so, like makes me so mad. Like, how is everyone so soft? Oh, it's dangerous, blah blah blah. You think it's not dangerous to drive in a car? You think there's people not gonna die when you drive in a car? It's like, I don't know. It really upset me.
Riding depending on the city. From the business side of things, this was a terrible idea because achieving profitability with this model was a nightmare. In fact, a major competitor to Lime called Bird just filed for bankruptcy last
Yeah, it
month
got
after
banned
not being able to
this
make this
past
model
week.
work. But from the consumer side of things, this model was great. They could pay just a few bucks to get around the city on a few occasions when they were in a rush or were just feeling lazy, which was a lot more affordable than getting a boosted board. Now, you could argue that these small transactions eventually add up to being even more than the price of a boosted board, and you're probably right. But for most,
I've thought most places that banned them did so because they often left all over the place. Paris also banned scooters. Yeah, I did notice there was only e-bikes and not e-scooters. Liability greatly outweigh the skill of the riders. I think it got banned in a lot of places because of the chaotic nature of them being left everywhere. Can you own your own electric vehicle? I think so. I would hope. If I ride a one wheel around, they go, "Ooh, it's banned." You go, "Shut up, shut up." Take it to the highest court and say, "Shut the fuck up."
Most consumers, it's much easier to afford a $5 microcharge every time they ride over a $500 upfront cost. And just as Boosted was struggling to find their core market and Lime entered the scene, Boosted boards would start catching fire. The whole fiasco with the Boosted boards catching fire takes us back to late 2016 to a web developer named Rick Bros, or more specifically his roommate. One day when Rick was out, his Boosted board would start overheating and fill his apartment with a bunch of toxic smoke, which naturally frightened his roommate. Instead of vacating the apartment as soon as possible though, the roommate would decide to record the incident, which as you would guess would end up going viral on Reddit. Given that Boosted would eventually go bankrupt, it wouldn't have been surprising if Boosted had just pushed this under the rug and acted like it never happened. But Boosted did the exact opposite. They did the right thing. They reached out to Rick immediately, offered a replacement, and wanted to take a look at the defective board to fix the issue. Boosted CEO Sanjay took it even one step further. He would fly from California to New York just to meet up with Rick in person and address the issue. Before they could resolve the issue though, another report about a defective Boosted board would come out, and this would pretty much force Boosted to issue a full recall. It turned out that the issue was that water was able to get into the battery pack when riding, which eventually caused a short circuit. Boosted would of course fix the issue and come out with a refined version.
Wait, what? Why did he just randomly have normal skating in there?
Boosted would of course fix the issue and come out with a refined.
Was that Shane O'Neill? Shane O'Neill watching.
Circuit. Boosted would of course fix the.
Shane O'Neill just watching. Oh, what's homie's name?
Issue and come out.
Zion, yeah. Shane O'Neill watching Zion. Why is that in there?
But things were never the same. As such, many publications often point to the fire incident as being the definitive end to Boosted, but I argued that they were already headed in that direction, and the fire incident simply accelerated that trend. You see, for Sanjay, electric skateboards was always just an entry point into the electric market. His end goal was always to build out a whole slew of electric products like bikes and scooters, but to his disappointment, these products never took off. Sanjay was even willing to step to the side and let another person have a shot at being CEO and expanding Boosted, but this wasn't all that successful either. Well, actually, technically, they did continue to run super successful marketing campaigns. They partnered with skateboarding legend Tony Hawk and even almost Kanye West. But the brand awareness and marketing was never where Boosted fell short in the first place. They always crushed it in those aspects. Where they truly fell short was product market fit and profitability, which remained constant throughout their run. And eventually in mid-2020, they simply ran out of funding and had no choice but to file for bankruptcy. They would sell off the remaining parts of the business to Lime and a company to take on the Boosted brand name. And if you look up Boosted today, these new owners are who show up. But these guys have nothing
Super 73? Oh, they sent a bike to Braille. I'm pretty sure. Bro, that's depressing that you have to sell your business to Lime.
The name, and that's what happened to Boosted boards. Another product that blew up in the 2010s only to fade into oblivion was GoPro. Check out this video to learn more. But until then,
fade into oblivion. Homie, GoPro made the comeback. GoPro is doing good now. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I thought he could have told us a little bit more about them at the peak. But yeah, I like videos like this, especially when it's related to skating, at least a little bit. I think this is a cool channel.